Hi guys, so today I would like to show you 6 ways to improve your Photoshop game fast. Okay, so these are very easy ways to transform your Photoshop game and save you a lot of time. So the first one is removing an object or removing a person from a background. Whereas before we would use a pen tool and just spend hours of tracing a subject and then refining it. Nowadays, it's a lot easier. So what you need to do is go to Select and then Select and Mask. You will see a red mask on top of your image, and you can change the opacity as much as you want to, and I'll just leave it on the 50%. And then what you do, you just click Select Subject, and then Photoshop Sensei, which is our artificial intelligence in Photoshop, will select a subject or a person from an image. It's not perfect, obviously. It's got some imperfections. It's not always selecting everything properly, but it's enough to work with it. And then on the left side, you can click on the brush to add selection if you want to, if something was missed by a Photoshop Sensei. As you can see here, I'm gonna remove a little bit, so I press the minus and I remove the whole leg. So what I can do is I can press Command Z on Mac, I think Control Z on Windows, which basically removes the last step. Or you can go to Edit and remove the last step. You can play around with it. It doesn't have to be perfect, because the secret is, I guess the way to do it is basically just go around it and make it look as good as possible without spending too much time on it. I increased the opacity just to see a little bit better. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to shift the edge of the selection a little bit to the minus side, to the left. I would go for minus 10%. This will remove any unwanted background color from the edges of your image. And then you can finish up with the hair brush. So it's a hair refining brush, and you can refine a little bit of a hair of the subject to make it look a little bit more realistic when we add this guy to a new layer. Okay, so after you finish working on him, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, because what you want to do is you want to output it to a new layer with a layer mask. Okay, so when you do that, it will be a layer with layer mask, like you see in here, and you can always paint with black to hide some of the imperfections, or paint with white to reveal the area that maybe the sensei didn't reveal and they should be in the picture. So as you can see, I'm gonna paint a little bit with black in here, and I will go for opacity 100%. It depends on the situation. Sometimes you want to do it with a soft brush, sometimes you want to do it with hard brush. These, as you can see, I'm just removing things that Photoshop thought that I need them. And then the shoes are quite bad, so I'm gonna just quickly paint with black to hide the picture below the mask. And you can spend as much time as you want to. Of course, I'm not gonna do this perfectly in here, because I just want to show you a basic tool that you can use in Photoshop. Now, it's a big improvement to a pen tool, and of course you can still spend time doing it. As you can see here, for example, I removed a little bit too much of the shoe, so I can change the brush to white and I can paint it in again, so it's gonna appear. To quickly change the brushes from white to black or from black to white, you can press the X on your keyboard, and that will change the brushes. Okay, so now we have our subject, and we can put him somewhere else, not in the photo that we basically had, and we don't have to spend so much time cutting people out, and I think it does a pretty good job. Okay. Okay, it's time for tip number 2, and this one has to do with improving the skin of a subject on a photo. And I think this is very useful for portrait photography, and if you want to kind of make your model skin look better than it is in life. As you can see here, the subject's got some freckles. So what we do, we go to filter and we go to neural filters. And this is a new Adobe Sensei option. So again, it's artificial intelligence that is helping us creating smooth skin very, very quickly. So what you need to do, you need to enable it, and then you can play around with it. As you can see, it already gave me a really decent result, to be honest. And yeah, I think I'm gonna just reduce a little bit the softness of the skin because I don't want it to look too Photoshop. Of course, you gonna have to play with it. And whereas before it was time consuming to actually, you know, smoothen the skin, right now it's super easy and I really think this looks good. Let's see preview for before and after. You can check the before and after in this button, and that looks good. So that is the tip number 2. Okay, so how to make someone younger or older or happy or sad using neural filters again. So this one is in Smart Portrait Beta app, which is included in the Photoshop. You just need to enable it, and then you've got all the options here, so you can make someone happy. It's going to take a little bit of time to process the information at first, but after it does, you can achieve quite stunning results with it, like very impressive results. So as you can see, the model is now more happy, and Photoshop generated teeth for her, which is quite cool. It doesn't look too natural, but I guess it's pretty well done for the amount of work that we had to do. We just basically clicked one thing on it. Another thing that is really cool as well is this facial age feature, which really is quite cool to just have a play with. We can make this model look a lot younger. Let's just go for really young, as young as it can get. And again, it's gonna take probably a little bit of time to process the information, but then when it does, this is what the result is. So it's really, really cool. And then you can also make her older, which I think is my favorite one because it does such a great job making the subject look older. It's very natural, I would say. So as you can see, she looks older right now. And of course, I'm not gonna save this for now because I don't need that feature, but just play around with it. It's really, really cool, and it can give you lots of good results basically in seconds without you needing to do a lot of painting and a lot of different actions and a lot of work. Okay, the third way of improving your Photoshop game is replacing a sky on a picture very quickly. So this is a photo that I took in Iceland, and it is unprocessed, and I didn't do any work on it whatsoever, and as you can see, it doesn't look that great yet. But we go to edit and we can change the sky by pressing sky replacement. And as you can see, the day was really kind of gray and there was not much texture in the sky, but now I can change it and basically replace it with whichever sky I want, which is a cool feature in Photoshop. And it's so easy and quick. So you don't have to spend so much time now trying to mask everything and then add different sky effects, right? You just change the picture and you just change the sky. You replace it with something that you like, and then you have a bunch of different adjustments that you can do to the sky. So you can shift the edge. So when you shift the edge, you basically blend it with the old sky, which is which will look more natural if you do. And then you can adjust other things like brightness, temperature, to make it fit to your photo better and make it look more realistic. So you've got a lot of options here, but honestly, when you just start, you just add the sky and you don't have to do a bunch of work really, and your photo will already look a lot better than previously. So this is really cool. You don't have to wait for a perfect sky to take a photo. Awesome. You can flip it as well if you want to, if you think you want to go for a different look. You can also adjust color and lighting. Important thing for me, I think, is to output it to a different layer, so then you can still make adjustments and also reposition it with a move tool. As you can see, I go to a move tool and I can just move the sky around and reposition it wherever I want it to be. And yeah, and that is a really, really cool effect. Now, the fifth way of improving your Photoshop skills or Photoshop game in seconds, basically, is using a camera raw filter. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna merge these layers to show you the camera raw filter, which is just amazing. So what camera raw does is what Lightroom does to photos. You can have so much control over the colors, the brightness, the saturation, and all the kind of levels and things that you would like to change during your processing. Of course, Lightroom is also really, really useful tool. Of course, Lightroom has a lot of additional features that are just great for batch processing. So when you have a lot of photos that you need to process at the same time, then please use Lightroom. Don't use Photoshop for this. It will, take you at least 3 or 5 times longer to process photos in Photoshop if you have like 50 photos that you want to kind of adjust at the same time. But if you have this one photo that you work on, you don't need Lightroom. You just go to Camera Raw Filter and you can do all the processing in a very quick amount of time, and you can make your photo pop in a way, and you can make it look a lot better and not so dull. So you go to Filter and Camera Raw Filter, and as you can see, you've got a bunch of different things, different options that you can use to make your photo look great. And I think what is the most important thing for me, is to make sure that you understand what is this little box on the top right corner. This little box shows you the amount of pixels from dark to light. And when you play with contrast, when you play with exposure, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks, it's very important to kind of look at this box. Exposure, so I can see here that exposure could be a little bit brighter, and then you just adjust a lot of different things like curves. I'm not gonna go into details with curves because I think they are more advanced to kind of explain. But I would suggest adding some grain. I think everything looks better with grain. And that's it. After you're done, you just press save. I think you can't see it because I didn't record it. And you can also toggle to current settings to see the before and after. As you can see, it has a lot different. As you can see, it looks a lot different from the before and after. It looks a lot better now. So I'm gonna save this photo. I think it's done. Another way to improve your photo game in Photoshop, so number 6, the last one, is how to add cool effects to your art or your drawings, simple things. And I would say I wouldn't use it for photos, but you can. You can also do some crazy funky stuff to your photos with these effects. But I would suggest using these cool effects with drawing. So this is a very simple drawing that I've made. I've been just playing around with shadows and I just painted this, right? Or draw this. So now what you can do to make it look a lot cooler very, very quickly is go to filter, and again we will go to neural filters, and this time we will go to the style transfer. So you've got your drawing, maybe it's not perfect, it's just very simple, and you can turn it into some really cool art very quickly using the style transfer in neural filters. So we go to featured filters and then style transfer. And as you can see, when you enable it, you've got a bunch of styles, like really, really cool effects that you can add to your drawing or your photo if you want to. And I'm gonna show you just a couple, like for example, this one. Look how different this drawing looks already. It looks really cool, I really like it. And it transformed it into something completely different. And you can play around with Photoshop. Photoshop, I think, is just an amazing tool that you can use to create such really, really different things and really cool art. So I would say just play with it. You can have a lot of different effects with your drawings, and that can make your art a little bit more interesting. Maybe, I like this one, for example, the green one. But you can also preserve the color. So there is this little icon here, and when you press it, the effect will be applied to your photo or your drawing, but without the colors, which is fine, but I think I like the green one better. This one doesn't really change much in terms of the effect. Okay, so I'll press OK, and then the Photoshop will do its magic, and we will have a very, very cool effect on a very simple drawing that, you know, just bear in mind, I don't know how to draw properly. So yeah, that's a really cool way of improving your Photoshop, and I hope you liked it. And if you did, please leave me a thumbs up, and yeah, and consider subscribing for more videos like this one. And if you really, really liked it, then you can always buy me a coffee. The link is below. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye!